gentlemen, Outstanding Achievement in Directing Award honoree, Todd Haynes.
Todd, welcome back to SCAD for the SCAD Savannah Film Festival, and thank you for showing and sharing your tour de force magnificent film with us. You had a standing ovation. Everybody loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula. It's such a pleasure to be back. I cannot tell you how much it's meant to be back in Savannah.
Well, you were here a couple of years ago to screen Velvet Underground, and I'm wondering, has Georgia been on your mind all this time?
Has Georgia been on my mind? I got that. I love coming to Savannah. It was when we realized that this little window of opportunity opened up for May, December last year in the fall, and the film was set in May. It's all framed around the fact that the kids are graduating from high school, but the script was originally set in Camden, Maine. And there was no way to shoot fall anywhere in the East Coast or in Maine. Authentically. The little window that opened up in October and November of last year, right, with the actors and myself. So I was like, wow, what about Savannah? And then we came last August for a scout, and we just started to look around. And the whole city unfolded layer after layer. Tybee Island became an absolutely fascinating location for Gracie to live in. A lot of local restaurants and venues that we visited on that trip made its way into the script, as you see in the film. And so it became a character in the movie.
True.
And I love that about the process of filmmaking, that can happen, that you can actually not know where you're gonna land. And that's going to start to tell you other things about this story, So the whole thing was such a great experience.
Isn't this characteristic of filmmaking that there's a lot of careful planning, but there's also serendipity?
Entirely. And isn't that really, that defines what the creative process is? Things you control and things you can't control, and you have to be open to and somehow flexible for the things that you can't control, because you'll miss something really special if you're not ready.
When you made the decision to shoot in Savannah, our SCAD film faculty created a May-December class to actually coincide with your production schedule. And students enrolled in the class worked in various departments on your set. Nearly 100 SCAD artists and performers contributed to this film. What do you hope they learned from being on a Todd Haynes set?
I hope they felt a portion of the creative sort of pleasures that we all felt. I try my best to make for an environment on my sets that make people feel comfortable and as secure and as respected in what they do, because it all matters. The smallest detail in a movie matters. And most of my films are not shot in Los Angeles I've shot a couple films in New York, which have been great experiences. Wherever you are, you want to use the local talent. You want to, it's financially advisable to use locals, crews, of course. But you also really want that flavor of the actors and the, regional actors in the roles and extras from that part of the country, wherever you are. And so that's always been really thrilling to me. And you feel like you're making discoveries in the process. So the students, some of them had acting roles and lines in the film. Most of them were in the crew, Some of them were extras in scenes. And, but having them in all corners of the experience just made us feel like we really were using the place that we're in and giving them the feeling that they were really special and that they brought something unique for the fact that we were doing a movie in Savannah about Savannah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, they'll never forget it. Never forget it. As a director, you have decades of leadership experience. I'm wondering, what's your personal approach to bring out the best in your cast and crew?
Directors are given a lot of millions of choices of things they have to say yes or no, or this or that color, or that shape, or that couch, or that chair. There are times where you're just like, I can't, I don't know, whatever, I get that. But I also know that sometimes that chair And the choice of that chair in that scene has a meaning and a presence that actually signifies more than we would think. And so the set dresser, they've been putting all the work into that, you know? That they have been putting a lot of thought and time into that. Mm-hmm. And it does matter. You know, so and I do like all those details. And you know, look, a lot of my movies, most of my movies have been period films, so that automatically makes the choices that you're making about decor and hair and costume and color and tone and all those things really essential. And that's a rich, delicious process for me.
Or you get famous for the anachronisms.
Right, exactly. And then you're like, that's all you noticed? Our one mistake?
One thing. They didn't have that in that year.
Exactly.
Do you find that you've grown more confident in your decisions over the years and with all your experience? I mean, I feel that way. I don't know if you feel that way.
It's such a film by film process. You know, there's a kind of confidence that the first time filmmaker, but also that's the energy that it takes to get a first film made. And everybody looks to that passion and that conviction as an indication that this person really believes in what they're doing.
Yes.
Right? It's all phantom, it's all illusory until it's not anymore, until it's in
real.
the can, until it's done, right? Until, as we've talked about earlier, until the audience sees it. I was very bold, and you know, the difference is that I didn't set out to be a feature filmmaker, a commercial feature filmmaker with a professional career. I was interested in films that were a little more on the experimental sort of edge. And it was liberating to think of it almost more as an art project than as a commercial product. Then things happened that were a little out of my control, like that Superstar, my film with the Barbie dolls about Karen Carpenter, was something that critics took seriously and wrote about in the Village Voice in 1987, and all of a sudden everybody in the country wanted to show that film. And like things happened that were unexpected that helped one step, you know, being followed by the next in a direction that I didn't know where it was gonna go.
D.W. Moffat, SCAD's chair of film and television, plays a key role in the film.
It was so great to work with D.W. Julianne Moore had worked with him on a movie shot in Savannah, and she just said, he's so good, he's so lovely to work with, and he ended up being so well suited for this character. I didn't realize his relationship to SCAD until I came here, and we were in pre-production. So in every conceivable way, it was just such an incredibly, fortuitous relationship.
I know many of your films are about social taboos in the world. Can you tell me why you're drawn to explore those themes?
Well, this is where we're tested. Some of them are taboos and some of them are just, you know, almost taboos of the commercial industry in that they're films about women. Mm-hmm. And people don't think films about women are worthy of being told in the way that we used to in the 1930s, for instance, when female actors were the biggest box office draw in Hollywood. And the roles women were allowed to play would just change with our cultural changes. And even eras that are more conservative or repressive, like the 1950s we point to as an example, yielded some of the most interesting films. And so you can also make films about eras of repression and periods of repression and talk about how people struggle and they have less choices as individuals in their lives. My films about women and about gay characters and people of color are really about limited choices. They're not heroic stories about people who just like win the day and change the world overnight. They're about people who really have to struggle and learn tremendously from that. And, or even not learn. The learning is what the audience needs to do. It's not always the character who learns. Yeah. Sometimes you learn what the character can't, because of what the character can't even see, or what isn't available to them as a choice. And you go, oh, it's the society that needs to change to really resolve this story.
You make great use of image books. How does visualization aid you in directing?
That's just a necessary part of every preparation that I undergo for each film I make. And the image books begin as a nonverbal communication with my director of photography to start to imagine what this film looks like in images.
So important.
It is. I mean, this is a medium that is about images. Mm-hmm. And if it isn't working as images, it's not a film. You know, you can have the best dialogue in the world, but you got to be able to, at a certain point, kind of turn off the dialogue and understand what's going on without hearing people tell you what it's about, and let the images convey the meaning. But in this case with May December, we had so little time that I made my image book for my DP, Chris Blavel, and it combined images from movies and photographers and painters with my stills that I took from my location scout in Savannah in August, and put it all together kind of in a linear form that follows the progression of the story. In the movie, I found this score from The Go-Between, a movie from 1971 that I watched last year, hadn't seen since I was a kid. And I told everybody, play this score while you turn the pages of the image book on the computer, you know? It put everybody in the same strange, hybrid place. So all of that stuff became the unique little, collection of traces and elements and references that produced our movie.
Mm-hmm. Music and the images, power of nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Todd, on May December.
Thank you.
We're so delighted to honor you at the SCAD Savannah Film Festival, and we hope to see you again soon.
I would love it. Thank you so
Stay
much.
in touch with
Thank
us.
you. Such a great. Thank you.
Love
It's been
talking to
wonderful.
you.